everyone, it's Samantha back again saying hello, and I hope life is treating you really well. Just a quick note before I get going, to say a huge thank you to all of you lovely people who sent me good wishes for my daughter's hospital trip yesterday. It was really sweet of you, and I thank you very much for that lovely community we've got going on here, so thank you. Okay, so let's get into it. Today I thought I would show you how to make these guys. Really easy once you know the principle of what we're doing. I'm going to be making these little mandala earrings with you today. Okay, well, I mean, you can use these guys for, this one's going to be a pendant. I'm going to put a patina on this one, and it's going to be a pendant. This one is with little tiny faux turquoise beads. I can't afford real turquoise. It's so expensive, isn't it? But yeah, they look really sweet, don't they? And today we're going to make the partner to this little guy here. Okay, so these are literally 11O seed beads, the red and the turquoise coloured ones. I love copper and turquoise, don't you? Looks really nice, doesn't it? Okay, so today we're going to be making these cute little mandala components. Okay, so I'll pop these just out of the way up here, and I'll go through a basic list of materials that you're going to need to make these guys. Okay, so the first thing that you will need are some copper washers. You can buy these really cheaply online or at your local hardware stores, that kind of thing. I get mine in a box of various different sizes here. For this particular tutorial, for this guy, I'm using this size, which is 14 inner, 18 outer by 1mm. Okay, so again, like always, I'll pop all the materials in the description box below, but this is the size I'm going to be making to match this guy here. Okay, so grab yourself some copper washers from wherever you want to. Okay, so that's the first thing. You're also going to need some 0.6mm wire. Okay, now that is for the wire wrapping these hoops. Okay, they look like little flower petals or whatever. I'm using 0.6. The reason I use 0.6 is it's just thin enough to be malleable and easy to wire wrap, but it has enough substance to it, you know, that it won't sort of bend as soon as you touch it or look at it. Okay, so 0.6. The next thing we need is 0.4mm copper wire, and that's for wrapping around where the beads are. Okay, so 0.4mm. You're going to need the usual tools of our trade, which is a couple of pairs of your chain nose pliers. You probably get away with one pair, but if you have a narrow nose, use that one really, because, or needle nose should I say, it's a lot easier to get in just to squeeze this. Just to squeeze this little 0.4mm wire. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean later. So if you have needle nose, use those. Obviously, some flush cutters as usual. And we do actually really want to make consistent loops. If you're not like me and you're really quite proficient with round nose pliers, go ahead and grab those. If you are like me and you prefer a little bit more sort of something that you can actually get really consistent loops with, you want to be grabbing your bail making pliers. Okay, your 6th step. We're going to be using the 2nd step today, okay, to make these petals or, you know, sort of loop things. Okay, and the last thing you're going to need is some seed beads or some 2mm round beads. It's up to you. I've made these guys with 2mm beads, and I've used 3mm on this pendant. Okay, the faceted agate beads, which are really pretty, aren't they? Okay, So it's up to you. Go ahead and get either 2mm beads or 11 seed beads. I am literally using very, very inexpensive beads here. We want to keep this craft as cheap as possible, don't we? So these are just check seed beads. Just pick out the ones that are, you know, a good size, good shape. These I think are okay because I've hoiked out the ones that aren't, you know, that aren't, they're a bit thin and that kind of thing. So call those out. Okay, so we're going to be using these two today. Okay, so that's your materials. So I shall come back in a second when I've cleared all this away and we'll go through how to make these cute little flowers or mandalas. Okay, so I'll see you in a couple of seconds. Okay, so to make the internal workings of these beautiful things, we need just a cheap, simple copper washer. I don't know how much I paid for the box. It wasn't, I mean, in British pounds, it was probably about £6, something like that. And you get a whole spread of sizes. And I'll put the size that I used for this. The principle is exactly the same. So when you know how to make one, you can go ahead and, you know, make larger sizes. The principle is exactly the same. Okay, so let's go ahead. So we have our copper washer. Okay, so you need to now bring in your 6mm wire. I'm not going to measure this because it's different for every size copper washer that you use, but I'm going to say probably, I don't know, 12 to 14 inches for something this kind of size. I tend to like to use just slightly more than I need, mainly because there's nothing worse than getting to the end of something and you are out of wire or out of yarn, or you know what that feels like, don't you? So you chop off your wire. Okay, so let's go for it. So I'm going to be using the second step of my plier for this, because it makes a beautiful size, which you can adorn however you like. I mean, you know, the world's your oyster with these chaps. Okay, so what we need to do is attach the wire to the copper washer. We need to anchor it. Normally we would go up and under, okay, but what I want you to do is do over and under this time. And the main reason for that being is if you go under and over, you will end up at the end with two of your hoops underneath. Okay, you'll see what I mean when we get going. What I've done here is I've gone over and under, wrap, wrap, over and under, wrap, wrap. And as you'll see, as you go around, there's a consistency with the loops going over and then under. Okay, so in order to get that, you have to do your first anchor wrap over the top of the washer. All right, so just literally anchor. So, okay, so over and then underneath, and then this small chap, just push it through so you have an anchor. Okay, can you see how we've anchored it? Okay, so we now turn so the ring is away from us and the wire is facing towards us. Pull this chap just out of the way slightly. Okay, hope you're following this. A lot of people use cocktail sticks or dowels or thick pieces of wire and do it slightly different to me, but this is the way that I do it, that I find a lot easier. And as you get more proficient, you can do it whichever way you like, but I'm just showing you the way that I do it. Okay, so I take my second step of my bell making plier. I grasp right next to where the wire sits. Okay, so you've got your second step facing towards you and the smaller step facing away. Okay, then what I do is bend the wire over the step and underneath and away from me. Okay, so can you see there where we're starting to get that hoop? So gently and carefully, watch this go wrong, pull the wire through, keeping everything nice and taut, okay, and you're grasping the ring between the bail, making pliers jaws there, okay. Pull the wire towards you, okay, making sure that everything's neat and taut, back under, okay, you see that? So we've got one wrap. Push it through again, use your nail, but be gentle because you don't want to overwork the wire because it will snap, okay? So it's now back through the hoop and then back over again. So you want 2 wraps in between each of these hoops, okay? Again, back under and then through again. So push very gently through, okay, and then through. So we have this, okay. So now very gently release your plier, and then we have the first petal shape, okay, with 2 wraps in between. So now we want to make our second petal or hoop here, okay. Same principle, put your plier to the left of these 2 wraps here and butt your plier up against and grasp the ring, the copper washer, okay, like so. So as we can see, we've got this wire to the right, again, bend it over and underneath, okay, can you see that? So it's over the plier, the mandrel, and underneath. So again, we want to pop the wire through the centre of the washer, tightly and firmly bring it over the washer towards you, okay, over and towards you and back under again, okay. So we've wrapped 1 wrap, okay, can you see that? Back through, gently tease that wire through the hole, okay, and again over and under, okay, use your nail. You can't have nice fingernails and do wire wrapping, guys, as is evident by my horrendous hands, okay. So again, we have 2 and we want to pop it through, ready for our next petal. I'm going to call them petals because we know what we're talking about, okay. So back through and ready for the next petal. So remove the plier, okay, and there we have the second petal. And how good is that? What you will find is that they will be coming out at an angle, okay. Don't know if you can see that. They're not lying flat and straight like this one does. Can you see? Now that's something that we'll deal with at the end. You can leave them like that if you like to have a bit of texture to them, but again, we'll go through that in a second. So we'll do one more, okay. So pop your second step, butt it up against those 2 wraps that you've just done. Bring the wire towards you and over the mandrel, okay. Keep everything nice and easy and nice and controlled. Keep straightening your wire so you don't get kinks in, okay. Just push it through the hole and through very gently, over towards you for your first wrap and underneath, okay, and back through the hole, okay, and over for another wrap. So that's 2 wraps, okay, and back underneath. I hope I'm going slow enough for you guys. You can always rewind the video if you need to. Back through Okay, squeeze things into place, and that's 2 wraps against your loop. So that's the third one done. Okay, and how lovely are those? Nice and consistent in size, beautiful. So you guys go ahead and finish, and I'll meet you back when we get to this point here, and we should have, I think it's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For this size, we're going to have 10 of these wraps, 10 of these petals. Okay, so I'll see you in a few minutes when we've done our wraps, and then we'll go through how to seal things at the end. Okay, so have fun, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Right guys, so how did you get on with that? Hope you did okay. As you can see here, I'm right back to the beginning again, and this is how we managed to fix our last petal. Okay, so we do our last wrap and we wrap it underneath. Okay, what we want to do at the end is to match these 3 bars that we have in between each petal. So this is your first, the one that you made first. Okay, get that out of the way. So you can see behind, let's see if I can get this. Okay, so you can see behind, this guy is the first one that you made, and this guy pointing downwards is from this last petal that you made. Okay, so we want it to crisscross like so at the back, so it should look like that at the back, so it kind of replicates all these other wraps. Okay, so you just come in with your flush cutters. Okay, you see 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, so come in with your flush cutters, and let me just make sure that's in focus for you because I'm working through the camera. Snip, and then turn and snip. Okay, so we then come in with our pliers, and we just want to gently squeeze these guys secure. Okay, so there we are, that's what we're left with. How cool is that? So like I said, you can leave these with an angle to them. Can you see how they're angled? Or if you like me and you like them a little flatter, come in with your chain nose and very gently grasp and twist, grasp and twist. Okay, grasp, twist. And you'll see what I mean when you do this yourself. You're just literally grasping the wire very gently. Don't worry too much because we're going to be covering that wire with some wrapping wire in a second. So grasp and twist, so they all sort of lie flat. Okay, can you see the difference? And then just use your fingers and just give them a little bit of a, manipulate them a little. Okay, so there we go. So actually, I mean, you can just suspend that from an ear wire. Do I have an ear wire? Yeah, I do. I'll just show you how that looks. If you wanted to just leave it like that and make a really cute, pretty flower earring, actually, essentially, you know, how cute does that look? So if you wanted to leave it like that, you can do. I'll just leave that there. But today we're going to be making this little sort of mandala effect. So here we have our little wrapped flower component. Okay, so what we need to do next is to get our 4mm copper wire, or whatever wire you're using, and we're going to be wrapping a little bead onto the end of each of those petals. Okay, so like I said before, you can use larger beads with the larger components, anything you want really, just again, world's your oyster. Okay, so let's get a couple of beads out so I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm using little 11/0 turquoise coloured beads here. Okay, Now there are a lot of people that like to do things on a long piece of wire and then cut and then use the same piece of wire. I don't do that, mainly because I think a shorter piece of wire is easier to manipulate, and if you're using a long piece of wire, there's an awful lot of work going on with the wire, and the nature of wire means that the more you work it, the more brittle it becomes. So if you have a long piece of wire, in my opinion, you are working it more than it needs to be worked, and there's a danger of it snapping anyway. Okay, so you know, you decide how you want to do it, but for me, I do each individual wrap with an individual piece of wire. Okay, so I don't know how many inches is that. I'm not sure, I don't have my ruler with me, but what, 1, 2, 3 inches maybe, something along those kind of lines. A little bit longer gives you a chance to have a little bit more wiggle room. Okay, so a piece of wire about so long. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing you need to do is to anchor it on to one of the petals. Okay, so up about, you know, almost half of the way through, and bend it under and under. Okay, and then pull it as taut as you can so that you've anchored it onto the petal piece here. Okay, the next thing you need to do is to keep hold of this guy nice and securely, because we're going to be working on the left hand side of the wrap first. Okay, now for these I've wrapped around 6 times. Okay, so we've got 1, and this is where our pliers come in, because it's much easier to grasp the wire with the pliers. Okay, so we've wrapped once with the anchor. So bend your wire with your fingers like so, and come under and through. Okay, keeping hold of this part firmly, we want to pull this wire nice and firmly and over. Okay, so we now have 2 wraps. All the time keeping everything nice and taut and secure and controlled. Okay, bend your wire again and up through. You have to bear with me because I'm working through the camera, so it's a little difficult. Okay, and again, grasp the wire and pull it taut and over. Okay, so we have, you see, we've got 4 wraps there. Do 2 more, up and through, pull it taut. Okay, and the last one, up and through. I hope you can see this, and pull it taut and over. Okay, so that's the first half. At this point you can move it around with your fingernails. Okay, push things nice and tight, making sure that everything is nice and neat and secure. Okay, so that's what we have. Can you see that? That's the first half. Okay, so pop a little C bead on, or your little 2mm bead, or whatever it is you're using. Okay, so it's basically wire wrapping this little bead onto the end. Okay, so this time, instead of under, we want to go over. Okay, so bend your wire slightly. Let me move these out of the way. Bend it slightly, and we want to go through like so to secure that bead onto that wire there. Okay, so come in with your pliers and gently pull. Okay, can you see how it's now attached? Okay, I like to give it a little bit of a move. There we go, that's better. Okay, so again, we want to match this, so we do 6 wraps. Okay, so all the time, nice and gently but firmly, pop the 4mm wire through and back under and pull it taut. Okay, and again, number 3, and pull it taut. Okay, you basically do this excuse me, another couple of times to match the left. Do it nice and tightly. Okay, you go, so that's 3. This is number 4. See how it clicks into place? And then number 5, so over and through. You can hear it click into place actually, guys, so that's a good indication that you've got it in the right place. Okay, and then bend it over and through once more, 6 wraps. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's your first bead secured. Can you see that? Is that I hope it's focusing correctly. Okay, so turn it over onto the back side, and we want to secure these 2 pieces of wire. Like I said before, I mean, you know, we have a little waste here. I'm happy with that because I've got quite big hands and quite big fingers. I need something to grasp onto, so I don't mind a little bit of waste. Okay, so closely snip your little pieces of excess wire. Okay, and then this is where the needle nose comes in really handy, because you just need to get in there and smush those little pieces of wire so that everything is nice and neat. We don't want any sharp edges on our jewellery, do we? Okay, so how does that look? There we go. So that's the first point. Okay, how does that look? That's really pretty, isn't it? Okay, so you want to go ahead and do all of the rest of those, and we'll meet back at the end when we've got them all done. Okay, except leave one at the end for your ear wire or your bar or whatever it is you want to put on it. Okay, so I've got 10 on here, so I'm going to do 9. All right, so we'll meet back in a second. Okay, so how did you do? How did you get along? Okay, so there we go. That's it. So that's the finished component with all of the little beads secured around, excepting one at the top for your ear wire or your jump ring for a necklace, perhaps, or which is like what I'm going to do with this one. It's going to have a jump ring on it. Okay, so I hope you managed to find that relatively easy enough to do. So let's have a look at the ear wire, and I'm going to be suspending it from like a stick type thing here, just because I think it looks really pretty. Okay, so again, I'm just using this offcut from this 0.6mm that I had from the beginning. Perhaps maybe I'll use these beads actually. Let's make a fully blue one. Okay, so very simple. We've done these before. Wire wrap. Okay, pop your plier on. Let's have an angle, and the smallest step on the plier. Just a wire wrap loop like so. Okay, come in with your pliers and we'll wrap that round as usual. I'll do it 3 times, maybe 1, 2, and then just under, actually, we'll do that. Okay, chop off your excess. Okay, so that's, tidy that up a little bit. There we go. Again, it's so difficult working through the camera, so bear with me. Okay, so you can put however many you want on here. Let's see. It's going to be difficult on my table, actually, just bear with me. 1. Skip this little part, guys. 2. How many shall we do? 3. We'll do 5, shall we? 4 and 5. Okay, so we've got our 5 little beads on, and we just want to be attaching this little wire wrap loop onto this hoop here. Okay, so again, let's do it in opposite directions though this time. Yeah, so okay, so hold it there, angle, simple wire wrap loop over, rotate your plier. So we have this, but before you finish it off, you want to attach your little mandala or flower onto your piece. Okay, so you literally just pop it on and click it into place. Grasp the hoop and then literally finish off by wire wrapping this part here. Okay, so wrap, and here we go. Once more. Okay, snip off the excess nice and neatly, and just tidy the end up. Okay. Oh, really pretty. How does that look? Yes, I think that looks really, really nice, doesn't it? Okay, so the last thing we want to do is to attach our ear wire, which I'll just rob from this piece here. Okay, so again, I make my own ear wires, and we'll literally pop it on, close it up. Ah, how beautiful is that? There we go. So that's your mandala component made into an earring. I hope that you've enjoyed the video and I've not gone too quickly for you. If you need, you know, any help or anything, just give me a shout in the comments. And I hope you've enjoyed the video. Have fun making these. I know you're going to be making lots and lots and lots of these. They're so versatile, really cute. Be beautiful with some pearls, actually, wouldn't it, that? Yeah, some faux pearl beads or some real pearls if you can afford it, which I can't. So, but there we go. Have fun, and I hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you in my next video, which hopefully will be in a week or so's time. It's nice to have you here, guys. See you later.